Okay, so friends, we are going to study the chapter 1, the properties of matter, and the learning goals of today's lecture is the concept of load, stress, and strain. We will learn what is load, what is stress, and what is strain, and what are the types of stress and strain over here in this lecture. First of all, let us see what is load. Mm, we studied in last lecture that what is the force. The force is any external quantity or entity. Sorry, not the quantity, but entity. Any external entity which can change the state of motion of any object, that is called force. Whenever we apply a force on an object, what will happen? The state of motion of the object will change. I am explaining it over here. Suppose this is an object, and if I am applying a force on this object in this direction. So at that time, what will happen? If the object is in steady state position, then it will come into motion. If it is in motion, then its speed or the direction will be changed. But suppose when we apply the force on the object from opposite direction, and both the force, this force is say F1 and this force is F2. If both of these two forces are equal and opposite in direction, so at that time this object will remain as it is. Its state of motion will not change, and you can say that the resultant force, that is F equal to F1 plus F2, that will be equal to 0, because the resultant force is the vector sum of all the acting forces on the object. But at this time, you cannot say that the load which is experienced by this object, that is 0, because at that time you can say that the object is under load, because load is the scalar sum of two forces F1 and F2, so it will not remain 0. So you can say that whenever the more than one forces are applied on the object, and if the resultant force acting on the object is 0, at that time you can say that the material resultant force acting on the object is 0, but the load is not 0. So this is the clear cut distinction between load and force. Okay. The SI unit of load is same as force, that is Newton. The load can be classified into four different types. One is static or dead load, one is live load, other one is impact load or shock load, and the fourth one is fatigue or fluctuating load or alternating load. First of all, let us see the static or dead load. This type of loads are non-fluctuating in nature, like gravity. The load which is exerted by the gravity, they are non-fluctuating. They remains constant over the time. So this type of load are known as static or dead load. Live load, they are changes with time. This type of loads are changing with time. For example, when a vehicle is crossing through a bridge, its load will change with time. At one instant, one vehicle is passing through the bridge. After some time, another vehicle is passing through the bridge. We cannot predict that at what time which type of vehicle will pass through the bridge and how much load will exert on it on the bridge by the vehicle. So this type of load are called live load. Now let us see the impact load or shock load. This type of load are caused by sudden blows. For example, if we hit the hammer on any object, so at that time we can say that the object is suffering impact load or shock load. These type of loads are exerted on the object for a moment, for a fraction of time. Okay. The fourth one is fatigue or fluctuating load or alternating load. This type of load, the magnitude and sign of this type of load are changes with time. Okay, so let us see the example, the contraction and expansion of metal or any other object due to seasonal variation. In the summer, the material gets expand due to higher temperature. So at that time, the load which is exerted by the material, that is different, that is in one direction. While in the winter season, cold season, the material gets contracted due to the cold. So at that time, the load which is faced by the material, that is in different direction. So this type of alternating load, this type of loads are known as alternating load or fluctuating load or fatigue. So this was the complete explanation regarding the load. A load can simply be divided into two types, because we can apply the load on any object by application of pull or push. We can pull the material and apply a load, and we can push the material and also apply the load. Suppose we are pulling the material, we are having some rubber, piece of rubber, and we are pulling the rubber, piece of rubber from by holding on two ends. So when we pull the rubber, it will get expand. So at that time you can say that the rubber is in tension. And if we push the rubber from opposite direction, then at that time you can say that the rubber is in compression. So in this way, you can define the load into two types. One is tension and other one is compression. So this was the complete explanation and classification regarding the load. Load is different from force. However, the unit is same. Okay. The resultant force can be zero, but the load cannot be zero at that time. Four types of loads are there. One is static, live, impact, and fatigue. And depending upon the direction of load, you can classify them into tension and compression. So this was the complete explanation regarding the load. Now let us see here. When we pull the material from two ends, at that time you can say that material is under tension. When we push the material from two ends, you can say that the material is under compression. Now let us see the stress. Whenever we apply any external force on any object, at that time the object tends to deform as a result of application of external force. And up to how much extent the material will get deformed, that depends upon the nature of molecular attraction of the object, how tightly or loosely the molecules or the atoms of the object are bound. Depending upon that, the degree of deformation will take place in the object. If the molecules or the atoms of object are loosely bound with each other, so at that time what will happen, the material will get deformed up to large extent. And if the atoms or the molecules of the object are tightly bound with each other, so at that time degree of deformation will be less. Now, as soon as due to this, what will happen? As soon as the object starts deforming, the molecular displacement in the object are taking place, and as a result of it, an internal force comes into picture to oppose the counterbalance the external force. That means whenever we apply a pressure means force on any object, external force on any object, the material will get start deforming. At that time, to oppose this external force, equal and opposite internal force will be generated inside the material, which will tend to restore the object back to its original condition. Let us take an example of rubber. Whenever we try to stretch the rubber, the internal force which is generated inside the rubber, it will try to make the rubber into extra to take back to its original condition. Okay, so such restoring force is per unit area which is developed inside the object, that is called stress. So we can define the stress as stress is the restoring force per unit area which is developed in the object to oppose the deformation of object under the external force. And we can write the equation for the stress as stress that is equal to restoring force divided by cross sectional area. So that will be force per unit area. Okay, so the unit of force, that is Newton, and unit of area, that is meter square. So the unit of stress will become Newton per meter square, or you can say Pascal. The symbol for the stress is sigma. Here, if you read different books, every author is using different types of symbols for stress and strain. So here we are writing the symbol of stress as sigma. Okay, so this was the stress. The stress is the restoring force or internal restoring force which is generated inside an object per unit area to oppose the deformation of object under external force. When external force is applied, internal force is generated. The stress can be classified into three types. The first one is normal stress. Normal stress. Normal stress can again be classified into two types. The first one is tensile stress. Okay, so let me explain what is normal stress. The normal stress may be tensile or compressive. There are two types of normal stresses. Whenever we apply the longitudinal force on the object, at that time its length will change, and at that time whatever the stress is generated inside the object, that is named as normal stress. Whenever we stretch the material, the length of material will increase. Suppose we are having an object of length L. This is the object of length L. If we are stretching the material by pulling it from both the ends, what will happen? Its length will increase by a magnitude delta L. So at that time, whatever the stress, normal stress generated inside the material, that is known as tensile stress. Similarly, if we compress the material of length L, by applying the force from two ends, its length will decrease by a magnitude delta L. Then whatever the normal stress is generated inside the material, that is known as compressive stress. So in this way, you can say that normal stress can be classified as tensile stress and compressive stress. In case of tensile stress, the length of the material increases. In case of the compressive stress, length of the material decreases. Another second type of stress is called the shear. When external force acts tangentially over an area of an object. Suppose this is an object. A cubical object is shown over here. Suppose we are applying a force on the bottom side of the object in this direction. An equal force is applied on the top side of the object in opposite direction. So at that time the deformation which is taking place in the object, that will be in angle. Here suppose the deformation is taking place by angle theta. So this type of stress, at that time whatever the stress is generated inside the material is called shearing stress or tangential stress. So this was the second type of stress. The first one was normal stress, second one was shearing stress, and the third type of stress is called bulk stress. Suppose we have a solid having a volume V. If we immerse this solid into a liquid, what will happen? It will suffer the equal force from all the directions, okay, due to pressure of water. So at that time what will happen? It will get compressed from all the direction, and the volume of the object will decrease. Whenever the equal and opposite forces are applied from all the direction to the object, it will suffer a deformation in from all the side. So at that time, whatever the stress is generated in the object, that is called bulk stress. So in this way, you have the three different types of stresses. The first one is normal stress. Normal stress can again be classified as tensile stress and compressive stress. The second one is shearing stress. And the third one is bulk stress. Okay, so this was all about the stress. Stress is the internal force, so you can say that its unit is Newton per meter square and its symbol is sigma. Okay, sigma. Now let us see the strain. Whenever the external object, it will produce rest or expand. It bonds with compress or expand. An atom will come closer to each other or go farther from each other. So this leads to the deformation in the shape of the object. An object is said to be in a strained state. Okay, so we can define a material to the original dimension of the object under external force. Whenever we apply the external force, the dimension of the material will get changed because it gets deformed. So the rate of change in the dimension to the original dimension, that is called strain, and its symbol is epsilon. Okay. Again, the strain is also of three different types. First one is longitudinal strain. Whenever we pull or push the material from two opposite side, what will happen when we apply the normal stress to the material, what will happen? Its length will change. Okay. Suppose if the length, its length will change. Suppose the length is changed by delta and